I took out a second mortgage to help them buy their dream home. When I fell behind on my own bills, I asked for a small loan to catch up. My son-in-law scoffed and said, "Maybe you should have thought of that before playing the hero." My daughter added, "We're not your safety net." That same night, I got a foreclosure notice, and that's when I remembered whose name was still on their deed. I'm a 62-year-old woman living alone in Temecula, California. I lost my husband, Dave, 6 years ago to pancreatic cancer. We were married 34 years. After he died, I kept to myself. I did okay for a while. The house was paid off. I had savings, Social Security, and a small pension from the school district where I worked as an office clerk. We raised 2 kids. My son lives in Oregon now and works construction. We talk, but he's not part of this. This story is about my daughter, Megan. Megan is 35. She married a guy named Troy who I never fully trusted. He's one of those smooth types. Knows how to say the right thing at the right time. Dresses like he has money, even when he doesn't. They met in college. He told me once, "I'll be a millionaire by 30. That didn't happen. A few years ago, they were living in an apartment in Oceanside. Megan called me crying. Said the landlord raised rent and they had to move. They found their dream house in Fallbrook, a big place, 5 bedrooms, 2 stories, nice view. But they couldn't get approved for a loan. Bad credit. Student loans. Some business debt Troy had from a failed tech venture. They begged me to help. Megan said, "Mom, this house is perfect for us. We can raise our family here. We just need you to co-sign." I told her I'd think about it. But a few days later, Troy showed up at my door with a folder and a loan officer on speakerphone. They made it sound easy. Safe. Just my name on the paperwork. The numbers didn't work, though. They needed $90,000 more for the down payment and closing costs. That's when Megan asked if I could borrow against my own home. I didn't want to. But she cried. Said I was their only hope. So I took out a second mortgage. $97,000. I wired it to the escrow account. They got their house. I co-signed the loan. They moved in, threw a big housewarming party, and never looked back. Troy posted pictures all over Facebook, finally made it. Hustle pays off. Not one mention of me. Not one thank you after the check cleared. But I stayed quiet. I was proud of Megan. I wanted her to be happy. I thought they'd pay me back over time. They never did. 3 years went by. Things got harder for me. Prices shot up. Groceries, gas, electricity, everything doubled. I was trying to stretch every dollar, but I fell behind on my mortgage. The second one. The one I took out for them. I didn't want to bother them. I was embarrassed. But the bank started calling. I owed 2 months of payments. I didn't have it. So I called Megan. Told her I needed help. Just $1,200 to catch up. She said they were busy and asked if we could talk in person. So I drove to their house. Their place looked even bigger than I remembered. New landscaping, a shiny black SUV in the driveway. Megan answered the door with a glass of wine in her hand. Troy was out back grilling. We sat down, and I explained everything. How I was behind. How I was scared of losing my house. How I just needed a little help. Troy didn't even look up from his phone. He just said, "Maybe you should have thought of that before playing the hero." Megan sipped her wine and said, "We're not your safety net, Mom. You made this decision." I just stared at her. My own daughter. After everything I did. I got up and left. I didn't say a word. I drove home in silence. That night, I got the foreclosure notice. My stomach dropped. I hadn't even told my son yet. I was ashamed. I sat at my kitchen table, lights off, holding that piece of paper in my hands. Wondering how I ended up here. How I gave so much and got left behind. Then it hit me. The deed. I remembered signing the mortgage paperwork 3 years ago. It wasn't just a co-sign. I was listed as a co-owner on the title. My name was right there on the deed. They never refinanced. Never changed it. Probably forgot. I pulled out my files. There it was. My name. Next morning, I called my lawyer. She looked everything over and said, technically, you own half that house. You have legal rights. You could push for a sale or force a buyout. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. They thought I was done. They thought I had no options. But they forgot who really made that house possible. I didn't act right away. I wanted to be sure I was doing the right thing. I prayed on it. I talked to my son, Tyler, up in Oregon. He was furious when I told him everything. Said, "They used you, Mom. Don't let them walk away like that." He offered to fly down. I told him not yet. I needed to handle it myself. So I met with my lawyer again and asked her what it would look like if I pushed back. She laid it out simple. I could file what's called a partition action. Since I was on the deed, I could legally force the sale of the property. It would go through the court. Either they'd have to buy me out at market value, or the house would be sold and I'd get my share. At first, I felt sick to my stomach. This was my daughter's home. My grandkids' bedrooms. But then I remembered what she said to me, "We're not your safety net." They threw me away the moment I needed help. So I told my lawyer to proceed. 2 weeks later, the paperwork was filed. The reaction came fast. Megan showed up at my door the next morning, banging on it like a cop. I hadn't seen her since that night on her patio. "You're suing us? Are you serious right now?" she shouted. I stayed calm. I told her, "I gave you everything I had. You left me to lose my home. I warned you." Troy showed up the next day with a different approach. He was all calm and fake smiling. Sat on my porch and tried to talk things out. "Look, we didn't know you were struggling that bad. But this? You're blowing it out of proportion." I told him it was already filed. It was out of my hands now. Then came the threats. A week later, I got a letter. Not from the court. From some lawyer Troy found, claiming I had no right to do this, that I was endangering my grandkids' future. They tried to play the emotional card. But my lawyer shut it down fast. "They've got no leg to stand on," she said. Then things got even uglier. Megan blocked me on everything. Social media, phone. I couldn't call my grandkids anymore. She even had her friends posting online, making me out to be some bitter old woman trying to destroy her own daughter's life. I stayed quiet. Meanwhile, Troy posted a GoFundMe. No joke. He wrote, "We're being unfairly forced out of our home due to legal manipulation. We're trying to save our children's future. Anything helps." They raised about $800 before someone found public records with my name on the deed and started commenting, calling them liars. The page came down 2 days later. Then I got a voicemail from Megan's friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. She said, "You should know, Troy's been seeing someone else. Been going on for a while. Megan doesn't know." I didn't react right away. I just saved the message. 3 days later, Megan showed up again. This time, crying. "I'm sorry, Mom. Please don't take the house." I was angry. I didn't mean what I said. I wanted to believe her. But it felt rehearsed. So I asked, "Do you even know what Troy's been doing behind your back?" She looked up, confused. I played the voicemail. Her face turned white. She didn't say anything. Just stood up and walked out. I didn't hear from her for a week after that. Then her lawyer reached out. she wanted to negotiate. She said she'd convince Troy to refinance and take my name off if I dropped the partition. But I wasn't going to just walk away now. I wanted everything I was owed. Because here's the truth, the house had almost doubled in value. What was worth $590,000 when they bought it was now close to $1.1 million. That meant my half was over $500,000. And I needed every penny. After Megan found out about Troy's affair, things got quiet for a bit. I thought maybe she was trying to sort through it all. Then I got a text from her, first contact in over a week. It just said, "Can we meet?" Just us. No lawyers. I agreed. We met at a small coffee shop near Old Town Temecula. She looked rough, like she hadn't slept in days. No makeup, hoodie, sunglasses. She didn't even order anything. She sat down and said, "I didn't know about him. I feel like an idiot." I didn't say anything. I let her talk. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said. About the money. About the house." Her voice cracked. "I should have helped you, Mom. I was just scared. We were barely hanging on, and I didn't want to admit it." That part caught my ear. "What do you mean, barely hanging on?" She looked down at her hands. "Troy took out a line of credit against the house last year. Without telling me $60,000. He said it was for renovations. But I found out he was using it to pay off some gambling debts." I leaned back. Suddenly the shiny SUV, the Napa trips, it all made sense. "He also opened a credit card in my name," she whispered. "Maxed it out." I asked her flat out, "So what are you going to do?" She wiped her face. "I talked to a divorce lawyer. I'm leaving him. I want out. And I want to fix this with you." I didn't trust her 100% yet, but something about her felt different. Softer. Like she'd finally been knocked down to the ground hard enough to see the truth. She asked if I'd be willing to pause the court action for 60 days so she could file for divorce and try to sell the house willingly before it went to forced sale. My lawyer advised caution. But we agreed to the pause. That was mistake number one. Because 2 weeks later, I found out Megan never filed for divorce. Not only that, Troy had secretly put the house on Airbnb. He listed it as a luxury family retreat and started renting it out on weekends for $800 a night. While I was waiting for them to do the right thing, they were making money off it. I lost it. Called Megan. She didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. So I drove by the house. There was a bachelorette party going on inside. Pink balloons, loud music, drunk girls everywhere. One of them answered the door, saw me, and yelled, "Hey, the wine lady's here." I turned around and walked back to my car. I was shaking. The next morning, I called my lawyer and told her to restart the court process. Full speed. No more delays. No more conversations. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd cave. But I was done waiting. Then, the real twist came. I got a certified letter in the mail. From the bank. It wasn't about my house, it was about their house. They were behind on their mortgage. 4 months behind. Turns out, all that money they were making from Airbnb? Troy was pocketing it. Megan never saw a cent. And he hadn't paid the mortgage since the holidays. The house was already in pre-foreclosure. That changed everything. If the house went to auction, I'd get nothing. No half. No equity. Just years of wasted money and a foreclosure on my name. So we moved fast. My lawyer filed an emergency motion to seize control of the sale process before the bank could. It was rare, but because I was a legal owner and because of the fraud with the Airbnb and unpaid mortgage, the court granted it. I was now the one in control. I listed the house with a realtor I trusted. Megan begged me to delay again. Said she was finally filing the divorce. Said she needed more time. I told her no. The house went on the market. Troy? He went ballistic. Started sending me texts day and night. Nasty ones. Threats, insults, even photos of me taken from a distance. Outside the grocery store, my church, my own front yard. I called the police. Filed a report. Got a temporary restraining order. Megan finally moved out with the kids. Said she was going to a women's shelter temporarily. I gave her some cash, quietly. Didn't tell my lawyer. I didn't want her kids to suffer for her mistakes. Meanwhile, offers started coming in. Over asking price. That house they thought I'd never touch. It was about to become my lifeline. The house sold in 19 days. We got $1. 14 million. After fees, taxes, and the bank's portion, I walked away with $482,000. I remember sitting in my lawyer's office, holding that check in my hand, and thinking, they thought I was weak. They thought I'd just go away. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't have to. That money said it for me. I used a portion of it to pay off the remaining balance on my own mortgage. I now own my home again. No liens. No bank notices. No fear. I'm free. I also opened a college fund for each of my grandkids. Under my control. If they want help later in life, I'll be there. But it'll go through me. Not Megan. Not Troy. Speaking of Troy, he got what was coming. After the house sold, he refused to leave. Thought he could just squat until the new owners moved in. The sheriff had to physically remove him. It was all filmed, body cam footage. I didn't see it myself, but my realtor told me he was screaming and throwing a fit on the front lawn. Said he was being robbed. No, Troy. You robbed yourself. That Airbnb stunt? That turned into a mess. The city of Fallbrook fined him for running an unlicensed short-term rental. $14,000 in penalties. He tried to fight it. Lost. Then came the real hammer. Megan finally filed for divorce, for real this time. During the financial disclosures, she found out Troy had been draining what little they had left. Multiple hidden accounts. One in another woman's name. Gambling again. Escorts. Even tried to apply for a small business loan using her social security number. She pressed charges. Fraud. Identity theft. He was arrested and booked. Last I heard, he took a plea deal. 2 years probation, 6 months in county jail. He also owes her over $60,000 in restitution. Megan's working part-time now at a medical clinic. She moved into a small rental apartment with the kids. She's trying. I see the effort. It's not perfect, but I told her, you've got one chance to rebuild. Don't blow it. We're slowly patching things up. I still don't fully trust her, but I don't hate her either. She was blind. Stupid. Weak. But at least she's owning it now. Me? I took what was left of my money and did something I've always wanted. I bought a small piece of land in Idlewild. Quiet, peaceful, surrounded by pine trees. I'm building a little cabin up there. Just 2 bedrooms. One for me. One for guests, if I choose to have any. I sit on the porch every morning now, coffee in hand, no phone, no drama. Just the breeze, the trees, and the sound of birds. I've got my life back. Not the one I used to have, this one is smaller, quieter, harder earned. But it's mine. And next time someone asks me for a small favor, I'll remember this story. I'll remember the tears that were real, and the smiles that were fake. And I'll tell them exactly what Megan once told me, I'm not your safety net.